Bleach has always explored multiple themes which have stuck to me deeply. I've learned so many valuable lessons since starting the show, and Kubo's way of poetic storytelling really stuck out to me. His way of handling courage, acceptance, and self-discovery throughout the series gets better and better. And as I've recently completed all 3 cores of Thousand Year Blood War, and I look back at this series, the meaning of the blade is me keeps growing larger and larger, and it keeps proving to be a stronger competitor for one of the greatest plot twists in anime history. Before I discuss the blade is me, I'm going to start at the beginning of Ichigo's journey, because the build-up for this moment makes the reveal so much more rewarding and inspiring. So grab your snacks, settle down, and allow me to present to you how Bleach wrote the perfect plot twist, the blade is me. Let's start off by talking about Ichigo's character and how he progresses before Thousand Year Blood War. From the first arc alone, we see that he is a protector, and will do anything in order to keep his loved ones safe. He accepts the powers of a Soul Reaper and takes Rukia's powers in order to protect his family. This is pretty straightforward and marks the beginning of Ichigo's journey. We explore Ichigo's struggles regarding his identity throughout every arc. Over the course of Bleach, he struggles with multiple facets of himself. His Shinigami powers, granted by Rukia, initially define his sense of duty, but as he learns more about himself, his perspective on the role changes. His hollow powers, which he feared and resented for most of the series, are another major source of conflict, as he initially views them as an external threat rather than a core component of his strength. He was always afraid of White taking over and hurting his loved ones, and showed clear vulnerability, flooding his inner world metaphorically, representing his despair. This fear and hatred of his hollow side marks a shift in his character. At the end of his beating against Yami and Grimmjow, he realized that instead of trying to push White away, he has to do something about him and conquer him, to become the king, not the horse, and he taps into his hollow-like instinct, using White's powers as a tool. Through his battles beyond White's instinct speech, against Grimmjow, Ulquiorra, and even Aizen, Ichigo gets better at tapping into his hollow instincts, though he still resists accepting them fully. And after the Arrancar saga, the Fullbringer arc introduces us to Ichigo's new struggle. For much of the series, Ichigo equates his worth with his ability to fight and protect others. But this arc challenges that notion by showing us a powerless Ichigo, questioning his role as a protector and grieving over his lack of power. He starts to see that his power is an extension of his own soul. The way I see it, his experience with the Fullbringers teaches him that power is not solely external. It is an extension of the self, and this will be an important aspect of the Blade is Me. So keep this in mind. Based on all of this, we can see that each arc of Bleach actually tested a different part of Ichigo's identity. The Substitute Shinigami arc introduces him to his Soul Reaper abilities, while the Soul Society arc forced him to understand Zangetsu and grow stronger to save Rukia. The Arrancar saga dove into his internal struggles with his hollow side, and the Fullbringer arc stripped some of his powers entirely, forcing him to reevaluate his worth beyond just being a fighter. More specifically, targeting his goals as a protector and tightening the connection between his blade and his soul. Now onto Thousand Year Blood War, Ichigo finds himself facing off against Yuha, the Quincy King, and the man who wrecked the Soul Society. He gets taken down pretty easily, and Yuha brings up conflict about his identity. He says he still doesn't know anything about himself or his roots, even about his own mother. So once again, we are faced with the theme of self-discovery. And just imagine what Ichigo was feeling in that moment, learning about his Quincy heritage. Everything made sense, especially because of our doubts about Ichigo's mom. You could truly feel like this was the start to the climax of Ichigo's peak character development. And looking back on the series and watching many YouTube videos, Kubo's foreshadowing stunned me. There were so many things and little details that were done so subtly that I don't even know if Kubo really planned for everything to work out this way. Ichigo learning about his parents' backstory plays a crucial role in his character development, because it reshapes his understanding of himself and forces him to confront the truth about his origins. For much of Bleach, Ichigo sees himself as a protector. Fight is what defined him as a person. He never thought about anything else. Him discovering that his abilities were never random, that he was born with the legacies of both the Quincy and the Soul Reapers within him, forces him to finally confront the truth, which is his long-standing belief that he alone must bear the burden of protecting others. Ichigo was never as alone as he believed. He was always being protected, just as he sought to protect others, and this fundamentally changes how he views his role. not as someone who must carry the weight of the world on his shoulders, but as so now Ichigo's identity crisis has finally been resolved. He has finally accepted himself for what he is, and his mind is clear with no doubts. This felt very rewarding to see, as it feels like the whole series has been building up to this one moment, where we can finally see Ichigo's self-reflection journey conclude. So with zero doubts in his mind, he is able to find his Asauchi, which he once failed to find, and goes with Oetsu to reforge his blade. And this is when the climax occurs, the biggest and probably the most important moment in the whole series. Ichigo is in his inner realm, and he has to say goodbye to Zangetsu, the old man who he has been with since day one, the man who fought alongside him and granted him power on multiple occasions, has a striking similarity to a certain person. Ichigo has felt this uncertainty for some while now, but he has pushed these thoughts to the back of his mind, hoping that what he thinks is happening isn't really true. His inner world, which was stable and not flooded, started to support Ichigo's decision, feeling proud of him. He leaves Ichigo with his true Zanpakuto, and he starts to fade away, even leaving behind a tear. And Ichigo now, learning the truth about everything, finally acknowledges the old man and White, both as Zangetsu. But he doesn't just accept them as a tool like he did in the past. He actually accepts them as a part of himself, getting two blades, one representing the old man and the other representing White. In many ways, this revelation is the final step in resolving Ichigo's identity crisis. He used to struggle with what he is, a Soul Reaper, a Hollow, a Fullbringer, and now a Quincy. Each new power feels like something foreign, something he must conquer or suppress. But the truth about his parents teaches him that he is not just one thing, he is the sum of all these parts. Instead of seeing his different abilities as separate forces vying for control, he finally begins to accept that they are all pieces of the same whole. This acceptance is what allows him to finally wield his true Zanpakuto, culminating in the iconic moment where he proclaims, "The blade is me." So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and please make sure to drop a like, a subscribe, share, comment, and all that good YouTuber stuff. And I think this reveal was just my favorite plot twist in all of anime. I think it was just so beautifully done, so well executed, and it was just perfect in my opinion. So yeah guys, please have a blessed day. See you later.